There is P.T. Barnum, and no, he did not say there's a sucker born every minute. But we don't have any photos of George Hull, the man who apparently did say that. So you're stuck with a photo of P.T. Barnum, and you're stuck with David Widener of MarketWatch. David Widener, are you a sucker?
I think Barnum was wearing a hoodie, wasn't he?
That's a good line, by the way.
What?
That's a good line.
What is that thing around his neck?
That's what they call a collar.
Oh.
You know, well, once upon a time.
Once upon a time, you had to wear a jacket with a collar?
He was a bit of a dandy, P.T. Barnum. He was a bit of a salesman. Now, listen.
Yeah.
You have a very popular piece out.
Yeah.
By the way, you know in my book that's not necessarily a compliment. But you basically say
I'm rather proud of it,
there's
actually.
There's a Facebook sucker born every minute.
Yes,
and
yeah.
you say basically that's human nature. You know, your point, by the way, which I totally disagree with in the front of your piece, was something to the effect of, maybe you have a legal case, but you don't really have a moral case when it comes to the Facebook IPO. And I argued to you earlier that I don't even think they have a legal case. But the point is there were people that got suckered into this IPO, and too bad on you.
Absolutely. I mean, we talked about it in the week leading up to this.
I mean, I must have had a dozen shows in which we talked about how silly this IPO was.
Absolutely. All the numbers were headed the wrong way. All the numbers were predicting that somebody was going to get burned. And we just didn't know when. We didn't know if it would be the next day. We didn't know if it would be 6 months from now. But we knew that what was happening on the economic front in terms of whether Facebook was a good buy at $38, we knew that it was not a good buy at $38.
And your point also was, look, there was all this disclosure. There was all this disclosure.
A month before this came out, it was obvious. Facebook came out with its first quarter numbers, which showed revenue slowing, which showed that advertisers had stalled.
Issues, concerns.
Yeah. So, they were able to add people to their membership, but it wasn't creating any money for them at all.
Right, but now you read all these poor retail investors. Oh, I put my kids' life savings into it, and I couldn't flip it and make a quick buck. And the sophisticated investors. When will those mom and pop investors realize that, frankly, without those big institutions, without the Fidelities, without the Capitals, without the BlackRock, there is no IPO. They don't understand the way this thing actually works.
Here's the thing. Whether or not, when you go to buy a car, do you sit there and just walk in and buy whatever the salesman tells you to buy? Or do you do a little research on your own? Or when you buy a home, do you just say, oh, my broker told me this is a great home? Or do you hire somebody to do an inspection?
Do you think a lot of these complaints that we're hearing right now, I'm not trying to, by the way, say that Wall Street isn't guilty, at least at some level, of kind of playing hide the ball.
We don't really know.
We don't know exactly when it went on. There's almost certainly truth that the analysts were saying one thing to their investors, but what is it about human nature? Why is it people you could jump up and down people don't do this and they're still going to do it?
When these IPOs fly off the shelf, when people make money, we never see lawsuits. But all of a sudden, people lose money, and all of a sudden we see lawsuits.
Nobody wants to pay for the consequences of their actions in American society today. David Widener, true or false?
It's scary that I actually believe with you.
David Widener.
Agree with you.
David Widener. Check out his piece on WSJ.com.